Over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you through a Rogan SI module called Making the Leap, from manager to leader. This module has a story we're going to tell, we're going to share some information, give you a couple of models to think about, and then give you some advice about how you can make the leap. What we know, the purpose of leadership is to take the potential in a team and convert it into performance. Potential is really just a concept, but performance is something you can take to the bank. And there are essentially two channels you can take your team through to get there. The first is the world of the manager. The second, the world of the leader. So what we're going to have to do is have a look at those two different worlds and see how different they might be. Let's start with the manager. I've asked hundreds and hundreds of managers about what tasks they spend most of their time doing, where they end up investing a lot of their time. And these are the sorts of things they tell me they spend time doing. So if you're in leadership and that list looks familiar, you're not alone. Lots of people end up doing those types of activities. But it's very different from the activities we'd be seeing true leaders doing. So when I've spoken to people, I said, well, then how do leaders spend their time? And these are the sort of things they tell me, that they spend a lot more time investing in these kinds of activities. You only have to have a look at these two lists and you can immediately notice there's a different feel to the two different sides of this equation. On the manager side, people pick up themes immediately and they're quite distinct from the ones they pick up on the leader side. And we'd say that these are really very much about the mindsets that operate in the mind of the manager and the mind of the leader. And so let's have a look at some of the things that people tell us when they have a look at those lists. Firstly, when they're in the manager side, these are the sort of themes that come out. Reactive, backward looking, very task focused. The list is kind of negative. It looks like I'd be really busy. And overall, we often get a theme with this thing of being innovating, which is sapping people's strength. Quite the opposite when we go over to the leader side. We're on the leader side, people start saying that they feel it's more proactive, more forward-looking, more people-focused, more positive. They feel they're more in control. And in fact, that they're feeling energized. So two very different styles, if you like, there. I think the big question, of course, is when I say to people, I say, so where would you want to spend your time? In which mode would you like to be in? It's really interesting to see what sort of results we get. Now, obviously, most people, if we ask them the question, they would say this. They'd say they'd want to spend, say, 20% of their time managing and 80% of their time leading. And as I ask around groups around the country, that's pretty much the answer you get. And there's no great surprises there. What is surprising, of course, is this. That when we talk to leaders about how much time they're actually spending leading versus managing, the results are very much the opposite. And so that sparks a real piece of interest for Rogan SI is why when people say they'd like to be spending their time leading, why aren't they doing it? Why when people say they only want to spend, say, 1 day a week managing, are they spending the bulk of their time in manager mode? So we started asking people, what do you think the great barriers were? What are the things that are blocking you from leading rather than managing? And these are the sort of responses we got. I'll get you to read that list now. In black, a lot of the things that people tell us. The company policies don't make it easy for me to lead. My team's capability is stopping me from leading. Our systems are so hopeless, it means I end up having to spend more time doing management tasks. Often, leaders say to me, there are some people getting in the way. My peers, my boss is blocking me from leading, my team is stopping me from leading, or indeed a big block of people. The whole organisation seems to be conspiring to stop me from leading. Our research indicates that the biggest barrier of them all is the person themselves. I am the biggest barrier they need to face. So if I'm going to get to make the leap from manager to leader, then there's some things I really need to do differently. So we're all completely aware of all the barriers that may be stopping us from moving from being a manager to being a leader. Robert Dilt looked at this in a certain same light as well, which his view was that, in fact, to try and drive change in this, a lot of people will work on the environment, they'll do some work on the behaviours and the capability, but ultimately at the top of his pyramid of logical levels, it's our beliefs and our identity which really controls whether we're able to overcome the barriers that we would be facing if we want to make the shift from manager to leader. So in terms of trying to develop a stronger leadership identity, we know that it'll really help you make the leap. We know it'll help you because when there are tough decisions to be made about where you spend your time, how you respond to challenges, how you'll deal with issues, is that your identity will help serve you to do the right thing, make the tough decision, go where you're less comfortable, go where you want to be rather than where you already are. So to help you develop an identity, we find this a really practical device. The device has 3 statements: I am, I can, and I will. I am, very much a statement of identity. I can, a statement of belief. I will, a statement of intent. We think this is really helpful. Now for some people, they can just write statements in there and that works really well for them. For others, we find the use of some kind of imagery, particularly for those people who are more visual, stimulates some really good thinking. So for instance, here's one. So the picture of the owl, a picture of the compass, and a picture of a present. So that may convert into a statement: I am wise. I can set the direction. I will give more of myself to my people. That might be a galvanizing identity statement for someone that really guides them in difficult situations and when times get tough. I am wise. I can set the direction. I need to give more of myself. Here's an alternate. I am the coach. I can see into the future and I will help my people achieve extraordinary things. Once again, I am the coach. I can see into the future and I will help my people achieve extraordinary things. It's those kind of identity statements that really support people in making the leap from manager to leader. So if you're interested in doing that, have a look at how you spend your time. Have a look at how you'd like to be spending your time and create more space for the really important path that you want to go on. I think the more time you spend on leadership activities means there's less time available for management. Identify those barriers and use your identity to start with the biggest one of all, which is you.